We're a small agency overall, but we impact people's lives a lot. Welcome to Chatham County Savannah Metropolitan Planning Commission, better known as the MPC. We are the bridge between Chatham County, Savannah, and our neighboring communities. Part of my role is to make sure that we have the resources that we need in order to work with the board, who are appointed by both the city and the county, to create a vision on how we're going to move forward with looking at urban planning, looking at the planned environment, looking at historic preservation, looking at transportation, and making sure that we've got a strong foundation and that we've got the resources in order to support that vision. One of the beauties about being in this job and working with this organization is that it's different every day.
I'd say that we are the place where new developments start as ideas, and we get to see them go from kind of idea to fruition.
We take into consideration what has been said by the folks that might live in the immediate vicinity, but we also look at how is it impacting the community, the region, the neighborhoods, because that's important and that's what planning is about.
Planning in general, you have to wear a lot of different hats, and a lot of times I see myself as a translator. For example, my background is in ecology and marine science. If we have wetlands on a site, how are we planning for those? How can we put this in terms of site development? I act as that facilitator and that translator between the scientific journal papers and then the staff report or a plan that we're writing.
Public input is critical. So we as professionals, we come to the table with all sorts of ideas, but if we don't hear that local input, it's really difficult to know what people who are living in these communities feel about the changes that are taking place, about the things that they would like to see happen. So I think it's a really important balance to hear from them so that we know we're not just taking them in a direction that they're not pleased to go in.
There are times when the community might want something and they advocate very hard, but it might not be in the best interest of the community as a whole.
We try and arbitrate, I'd say, in the best way that we can. We talk about the things that are established in some sort of a policy document, and we attempt to navigate the concerns that the public is expressing or other interested parties and try and find a middle ground so that everybody gets what they need. Every 5 years, the community is supposed to update its comprehensive plan. It is the thing that as I sit down and I consider any individual project that comes in, I weigh it against the identified needs of the community. There are a number of policies that are adopted by our municipal governments, so the city of Savannah or Chatham County, that represent things that are somewhat aspirational. It's their goals, it's their needs. It's that group of documents that generally provides the basis, and it talks about how an idea actually has to be carried out.
I think that people get us confused with regards to being the final decision authority, and we're not. We are a recommending body. People come in, they make an application, we talk with people in the community to get feedback from them, we deal with our reports, and then people that sit on that commission's board, they make the final decisions. Even if you're not happy with the decision that's made, you always have the opportunity to appeal. Sometimes you have to make those tough recommendations that you might have a few people that just hate it, but at the end of the day, the right thing to do is to recommend either approval or denial. But again, that's why we make those recommendations. We look at all of the data, we take the consideration information that we get, but we try to be objective with regards to what we do with that information and how it's used.
Advanced planning is primarily in charge of the comprehensive plan. Special projects takes on smaller projects that are important for the whole, but don't fit neatly into any of the other departments. But it'll pull in team members from historic preservation, development services and current planning, transportation. We maybe need to understand what is the population growth going to look like to estimate what are the facilities needed for our school system, what are the climate conditions that we're going to be facing, and how can we build resilience into our planning processes. The world we're living in now may not look the same in 20 years. It may not look the same in 50 years or 100 years. We're thinking about all of these things as we're putting together our plans and projects.
We play a vital role because we're kind of like the repository of information. We collect a lot of data with SAGES, and a lot of people in the community depend on SAGES.
SAGES is actually a collaborative effort between the MPC, Chatham County, City of Savannah, and other regional governments and agencies. GIS stands for Geographic Information System or Science. It's a computer-based tool that stores, analyzes, and displays spatial data. GIS allows the user to take data from different themes and overlap them to see together. When reviewing an area for site development, different things you would look at would be soil types, flood zones, current development in the area, what else is going on, what are the land uses. And you look at those things and you can put them all together visually and see them in one place, as opposed to trying to look at them separately, either on different maps or even as different tables. So you can take historical data and then projected data and create a visual where you can see it change over time.
Working with both the city and the county to deal with planning is great because we're in this unique position to get the information and to look at holistically at the whole county.
One of the most important projects that we're continuously working on is we work directly with the Chatham County Communication Center, or the otherwise known as 911 dispatch. The Communication Center has a completely different program that pulls our data in and then uses it in their system so that emergency responders can get to the person that needs them as fast as possible, where they're located, and the fastest way to get to where they need to go. So we don't create all of the data that we use and share here at SAGES and the MPC. We work with all of those agencies so that the experts in each field create and edit their data, and then we're the share point.
As a consequence of all of this information that we get in helping to determine your quality of life, we look at road networks. How do you get to work? Where do your kids go to school? Locations, things of that nature.
I am the Director of Transportation Administration, and we actually manages the Coastal Region Metropolitan Planning Organization, core MPO. Without the core MPO, the federal transportation dollars will not flow to our area. So we mostly deal with bigger projects like I-16 widening project and Jimmy DeLoach Parkway extension. We just process the allocation of funds. So without core MPO's planning process, you cannot have that. Our consideration has to be regional, because travel really doesn't stop at the border.
As we're looking at getting development to occur from the infrastructure side, whether it is rails and trails and trying to have some connectivity with that, that's something that's really important.
We actually have like 3 tiers of prioritization in our 2050 plan. So the first is needs, so based on congestion, freight. And the second part is the resiliency. And the third level would be equity. We want to promote people for public transit and bike ped as well, because people do ride bicycles, especially a lot of students. And we have a lot of tourists over here. And even without tourists, everybody is a pedestrian, right? Because you park your car and you still have to walk to your destination. So we want to improve the sidewalks and pedestrian connection and the bike lane connection. We really want to focus more energy and investments to promote the multimodal connection, because just the highway doesn't solve all of the problems. You've got to have other alternatives.
Here at the MPC, the Department of Historic Preservation and Urban Design, our primary role is overseeing the boards and commissions. We are also tasked with surveying potential historic districts as well as conservation districts. Given the history of this city and our country, understandably, people are somewhat suspicious if people come in and say, we want to make your neighborhood a historic district. And the people in the community are like, what does that mean to us? We really want the neighborhood to say, we want this. Probably the biggest challenge we face in the Savannah Downtown Historic District is tourism, proliferation of hotels, because we can weigh in on the design, but we have no control over uses. And over time, neighborhoods can change quite dramatically if the use is changing. We also do staff reviews. We have 3 criteria that we have to apply. So the first one, Secretary of the Interior standards. Primarily that's applicable if you had a historic building and you wanted to add on to it. Preserve historic fabric, differentiate new construction from old. Visual compatibility, which is the second standard we have to apply, means that whatever you're proposing to build or design has to be visually compatible with the contributing buildings to which it is visually related. And then the last standards that we have to apply are the design standards. Those are very specific. There are certain type of materials you can use for exterior walls, masonry, brick. The County Historic Preservation Commission had 2 sites. One was a house that was self-nominated by the owner of the house, important historic structure. And the gentleman who works for the city of Savannah brought to our attention a historic African-American cemetery that had been overgrown and neglected. He brought it to our attention, and that was approved, and that will now be protected.
It's really important in this time and environment to really be careful about making sure that you are respecting the past, because it's very easy to kind of get caught up in a trend. We continue to think very strategically in ways that we can empower the community and that we can be transformative in ways that we look at addressing problems and issues. We're a small agency overall, but we impact people's lives a lot.